Welcome to Paint Ed. PCA provides painting contractors with connections they need to grow their business. To find out more and to become a member, visit pcapainted.org. Find more great content just like this on PCA Overdrive. A subscription to the platform is included with membership. For all you non-members out there, sign up for a free trial. PCA Overdrive is available on the App Store and Google Play.
This episode is brought to you by Federated Insurance, 3M, Painter Marketing Pros, and Pittsburgh Paints.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Contractor Evolution, the podcast by Breakthrough Academy. How much time do you waste each day in little itty bitty efficiencies? Searching for the latest SOP or flipping through hundreds of browser tabs to find your budget spreadsheet or typing up the same freaking email 30 different times to your clients. Well, today's guest, Nick Sonnenberg, literally wrote the book on business efficiency. It's called Come Up for Air, and it's a go-to for small business owners and teams looking to stop drowning in the work and free up their time that they spend on redundant or inefficient tasks. In today's episode, we get into all the little things you can do that may only save you seconds at the time, but they add up to minutes and hours if you stack them day after day in your work week. We talk email management and how to invest more time up front on this to save yourself hours down the line, and how to set yourself up for success when it comes to AI and automations. This is a quick one. You might even say it's a bit efficient, but we cover a lot, so I hope you enjoy. You're watching Contractor Evolution, the podcast by Breakthrough Academy, where we systemize contracting businesses for growth. Keep watching to learn how the world's top contractors scale their companies, build killer teams, and make more while working less. Nick, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming on, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
I know you're a busy dude, so I've got lots of questions for you, and we will compress it as best we can. But I've got some good thoughts just looking into coming into this, just around how we can increase capacity without adding more people. And is that fair to say this is something you speak to quite a bit?
Yeah, at the end of the day, that's kind of the business that I feel like I'm in. I run a company called Leverage, which is an operational efficiency training and consulting company. But at the end of the day, I'm not selling efficiency. I'm selling capacity, and I try to get people to understand that. No one wants a new tool, even AI. No one wants AI for the sake of AI. They want ultimately capacity. Jay Abraham, I run a podcast with him. If you've heard of him, I think he learned this probably from someone else. But what I heard from him was this quote: people don't buy the drill, they buy the hole, and they don't even want the hole. They want
the result of the hole.
Yeah, they want to hang a frame up, right? So at the end of the day, I'm sure in the next, bit of time we have together, we'll talk about a lot of tactics and tips and tricks and tools and AI and automation and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, it's good to always keep your eye on the prize. And the prize is exactly what you said, which is capacity.
So let's get into this. There's lots of little principles you have. I know the first one, you the term RAD, R-A-D, but it has to do with email. Why do you start with email? Why is this one of your first approaches with your clients?
Well, because everyone uses it. Not everyone. You might be listening, you might not use ChatGPT or Slack or Microsoft Teams or Asana, but you for sure use email, probably Gmail or Outlook. And it's, if you look back, it's the only tool that's been around, for decades. A lot of these other things are just, 2 to 10 years old for the most part. So everyone uses it. It's the number one tool basically in business in terms of where time is spent. And if you think about it, you've never been trained on how to use this tool that you spend a huge percentage of your life using. It'd be like if you have to drive a car every day and you never took a driving lesson. So, wherever, usually the best places to start fixing things are in places where you're already spending a lot of time and you're used to the tool versus you might not have a work management tool or Claude or ChatGPT. And then there's a learning curve to get used to how to use it, et cetera. So starting with something you're familiar with and something that you spend a lot of time with is usually a really good strategy with this stuff. And that's why email is usually, one of the first things that we start with when we work with our clients.
I find it fairly addictive because I'm feeling good to clear my email inbox. all the time, but I'm always looking at it as a result of that. And I actually don't know how much time I spent, probably a couple hours a day, because it's not consistent, right? It's like 5 minutes here, 10 minutes over here. You try and have the block at the end of your day to actually do it, but let's be honest, you still peek at it throughout the week or throughout the day. What's the process around this? What's a quick win? What does RAD stand for? And what do you do with people early on with this?
It stands for Reply, Archive, Defer. So that's the framework that we teach, and I talk about in my book for how to deal with email. Most people think that they've got a good system, but it's usually pretty terrible. Too many folders. You think that because you've marked it unread that it's fine. So you have most of the things are marked. So you have like 6,000 emails in there, but only 10 are unread. That's not a great system. At the end of the day, the core principle of everything with operational efficiency is you want to optimize for speed of retrieval of information, not transferring information. So you want to find stuff fast rather than send stuff fast. And usually the way that people are not utilizing all the features in something as stupid and basic as email, it's not optimized to find information fast. So too many folders. And at the volume that we're talking to, right? If you're getting 50, 100, maybe you're getting 200 emails a day. If every email takes you an extra few seconds to process, right? Say it takes you an extra 5 seconds to drag it into a folder, or a few seconds, right? Even if it's 3 seconds and you got 100 emails, it's 300 seconds a day. That's 5 minutes a day, right? 25 minutes a week. By the end of the month, you're talking a couple hours. By the end of the year, it might be 20 to 40 hours, sometimes just by teaching something as simple as a keyboard shortcut, right? That saves you a few seconds. So if you haven't enabled keyboard shortcuts and you start archiving with the letter E, you might save 30 hours a year. It's not going to get you from broke to a millionaire, but when you start stacking things, right? And there's probably another dozen simple things just within email alone to stack. And then when you stack email on top of everything that we teach with AI and other tools, all of a sudden it's not, just 30 hours a year. You might be able to get back 500, 1,000. You might be able to get back even more than that when you just start stacking these things all together.
Every little bit adds up. I actually calculated with my wife the time it takes her to pick up the pillows off the couch every single day. And I said, honey, you have 2 weeks off a year you could take.
Yeah, you just stand there with a stopwatch and you're like, all right, go pick up the pillows.
I literally did this and I was like, it's about 5 minutes a day. And you calculate that out through the whole year. It adds up fast. So yeah. Give us a tactic, because for those listening, they're probably driving around listening to this. What is it? You just mentioned add a shortcut key with your keyboard on when you want to, I guess, archive something fast. What is a quick win for those listening right now that they could go and just do with their inbox?
I mean, there's a lot to it, but if you don't snooze emails, you should be snoozing. So if you use Gmail, it's the clock icon. If you use Outlook, you have to enable the new version of Outlook to get snoozing, but most people don't snooze emails, and it's one of the quickest wins. So think about all the cases where you're not going to deal with something today, but next week you'll deal with it. You don't need to mark it unread and then have it just get pushed down to the 800th email by next week. And then you have to start wasting time scrolling. You can snooze it, and then you're guaranteed that's going to come back to the top of your inbox at whatever date and time you chose. So that's a simple one. One of the things that we're building right now that I'm really excited about and proud of is we're building a bunch of AI agents that go along with my book, and starting with an executive assistant agent. And that's going to be a game changer, because that's able to categorize and reply and draft emails better than my team can, because it's connected to the CRM, to the knowledge base, to all this information. So when it writes an email, it's not just professional or concise, it's contextual. And so that's not ready yet for public use, but that's going to be that's going to really be the quantum leap for productivity, I think, with email, is once we're able to release that agent.
When your entire contracting business is full of fires, which one do you put out first? This quiz will give you the answer, plus a step-by-step guide to actually get it done. Just take 5 minutes to answer some questions about your business, your leadership style, and your habits. Then you're going to get instant access to a personalized guide with recommendations based on our analysis of over 1,900 rapid growth contractors. You're going to learn which of the 4 phases of contractor growth you're actually in. Is it operator, manager, leader, or strategist? How your business stacks up in 6 core areas compared to industry benchmarks. And what to actually go do next, including customized resources, tools, and templates you'll have access to right away. No waiting around for some email or filling out a million separate forms. If you've got big goals, but no real plan to actually get there, take 5 minutes to fill this quiz out. It'll be the quickest and highest impact thing that you'll do for your business all day. I promise. I've seen these on my Facebook feed constantly. People are advertising that I can automate my email, and I'm always hesitant too, because I'm like, is it actually going to save me time, or am I now just adding a layer between me and the people that I talk to?
Like I have, the reason why I'm building this is I found that they all suck. And the reason why, to me, if it doesn't have all the context, it's never going to do a good job, right? So even if behind the scenes it's got a really good model for writing copy, and okay, so what? Like that's not like revolutionary, and it's not going to save me a lot of time. But when you start, again, back to stacking, when you connect it to your CRM, and now it has all context of the notes, past call recordings, open deals that we've had together. Your LinkedIn can look you up on the internet, can look at all of our past emails, not just my past emails with you, but past emails and conversations you've had with my team, meetings you've had with me and my team. When you factor all of that in together, and then on top of it, it also has access to your knowledge base. So it knows what are your core offers, what are the upcoming events that you've got, whatever it is, right? How do you handle objection handling? You know, what's the brand and tone guidelines of the company? When you factor all of that in and much, much, much more, I'm giving you the simplified version here. You know, now it's all of a sudden it's got quite a bit of context. It's able to write a pretty good email, like better than my team can.
What do you notice? So you're not done this yet. So where have you gotten it to? What do you want to improve on still before you release it?
I'm using it right now for myself. Oh, and it's connected to my calendar. So if we start having to schedule stuff, it can, you know, to say, hey, Nick's busy here, or he's not busy. And it can understand if you're really, you know, important and hard to get a hold of. Maybe it proposes a time that I'm already busy on my calendar because it knows I can move it. So right now I'm the first beta tester and my team. And it's looking pretty good. So next will be to roll it out to clients, but it's going to be more of a enterprise play. Like it'll be not for an individual, it'll be a company wants this for their whole team. And, you know, imagine everyone has an executive assistant. So it's going to be more for that use case versus a lot that you mentioned before are more, you know, B2C individuals, $20 a month. Yeah, that's not the direction that this one's going in.
As far as people, staff, how large would an organization have to be to take care or take advantage of this and make it worth it? Because I imagine there's a bit of training, like you said, a knowledge base that has to be established.
There's going to be training. There's also going to be, you know, setup. You know, there's going to be some data pipeline set up. Most people don't have, you know, databases and kind of have like a data capture strategy. So there's going to be some of that involved. So, you know, it's going to probably be between setup and like a yearly fee. It's going to probably be, you know, a, you know, 6-figure type of yearly.
It's going to replace people. It's going to replace actual salaries, full-time salaries. It's not even going to replace, because a lot of, you know, right now executive assistants are really just for the CEO. So, you know, this is like, imagine a company, imagine you got 20, 30, 50, 100 people in the company, and you're the CEO, you've got an executive assistant, might not even be that great. Now imagine not just you, but all 50 people have an executive assistant that frankly is probably better than the one that you're paying, you know, that salary to. So it's not necessarily, the goal is not to replace, it's to enhance and augment. So it's, how do we give everyone in the company an executive assistant? Because at the end of the day, to increase capacity, you know, we got to take away the low value stuff that people don't like doing to free up capacity for them to have a bit more breathing room to do the stuff that is a better use of their time. So, you know, categorizing emails, it doesn't necessarily, it's not even going to auto reply. It's just going to create a draft, and then you can double check it if you want.
But even that alone is going to save minutes. Sometimes if it's a really complicated email, it might save you 10 minutes just on one email.
Yeah. And that stacks over not only time, but the amount of people in the organization that use it. Let's talk a bit more about AI. So when we did our prep call, you were very adamant about the difference between asset building with AI and one-time requests. Can you explain that more?
Yeah. So I think one trick that you could do right now if you're using, any of the AI tools is when you invest in figuring something out. So like after this call, one of the products we do at Leverage is a roadmap where we do this like assessment of their efficiency, and at the end they get a deliverable of, hey, this is the game plan. This is what you got to do first, second, third. Now I could do these phone calls with people and, just manually, or my team manually every time create the assets that are required. Or what you could do is invest in really good prompts and go back and forth till you kind of figure out, okay, this is exactly how I want the output to look. And that investment of going back and forth and kind of getting that general template. Now that template or that custom GPT or agent, whatever kind of direction you move in. But the point is, you could spend sometimes 1 hour to probably would have taken me, say, an hour or my team an hour to design some aspect of that presentation, or you could spend 4 hours and now you've got a process or a custom GPT that's repeatable. And so whenever I'm doing something, I'm trying to think, how do I do a little bit more, but now I build an asset out of it that is repeatable. So in these roadmaps, we want it to be designed beautifully. So I'll go back and forth until I get to the point where I'm happy with the way something looks. And then, okay, export this to the design guidelines PDF. Now I got this PDF that I could use for any presentation. And it's, 40 pages long, as detailed as how I like bullet points and, contrasting colors and font size and all this type of stuff. I'm starting to get more active on LinkedIn. I had a post like a week or two ago on this topic, this exact topic, ironically enough, of prompts as an asset. Now I could have spent 30 minutes to write the post, but I spent 4 hours. And what I did is now I have an automation that I set up where every month I'm updating LinkedIn SOP for best practices, where I'm scraping some influencers in the AI space that I know. I'm looking at their analytics, their trends, and how they're posting. I'm looking, I have another automation that's pulling my monthly stats. And so I take my last month's SOP, I'm taking the new data of the influencers, and then I'm taking my last month's performance. And then I update for next month's SOP, and it's all now fully automated. So my LinkedIn SOP is 47 pages long, everything from days and times to types to formatting to headlines to image, everything. And, spending an extra few hours, now I've got this asset. Now I could pump out a LinkedIn article for the rest of my life 100 times faster.
Is it fair to say the SOP is even being more used by the AI itself to follow direction than the actual person itself? And you're updating.
Yeah. Like now I'm building SOPs for AI, not for people.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the only point. It's to feed back into the AI to do a better job.
It's a part of the prompt almost. It's just the standard direction to allow that prompt to be the most efficient version of itself.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then when you see that it, does something, hallucinates or gives you a bad result, then you should just ask it why. Like, what's not in the, SOP I gave you, or what could I have updated in the SOP that would have prevented this issue from happening? And then it'll tell you. And then you'll go back and write, cool, create me a new SOP and include that new finding that you did, right? Then you download it, save it, and asset.
I'm noticing the last 6 months, this has become more and more viable of an option. Like how have you noticed things have progressed the last little while? Because I've been using this too. And I'm like, this is a little bit too hallucinating, but that was back, Christmas time. Now I'm looking at it, I'm using it. I'm not seeing those issues as much. How's this progressing for you?
I mean, every day there's new tools. They're all getting better. Right now it's the worst it's ever going to be, right? But I think just as fast as it's progressing, I think people, and speaking for myself, are figuring out better ways of interacting with it at the same time. So it's not just that the models are getting better, but a year ago I wasn't thinking about creating SOPs and monthly SOP updates. Mm-hmm. But then over time, interacting with these things, then the light bulbs start going off and you're like, oh, holy crap, I could be using it for this use case. And now every month I can have an up-to-date best practice guide for every single aspect of my company. I could have that stored somewhere. That's an asset. Now, every time I have to have the AI do, this process again, it can leverage this SOP. Instead of me giving it some, 3 sentences, not well written of what to do, what about a 47-page document of exactly what to do written by AI itself? And now I just have to give it a prompt like, write me a LinkedIn article about the concept of assets versus liabilities, or prompts as an asset. And then boom, you could check out my LinkedIn, see for yourself. That was all written by AI.
I'm noticing, even actually after our prep call the other day, I was all day Friday working on just our marketing strategy and getting it to give me almost like consultancy level information so that I could understand like our total addressable market, how that relates to the amount of emails we have on our list. And based on that, what our saturation rate is and how much money we should be investing in top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom of funnel, and getting it at least to like give me some nudges towards what is normal versus what I should, where should I allocate spend basically was the big question. And then how do I calculate that for every campaign I do? And I'm like, just looking at this thing and being like, this is moving fast. Because last year I would not have trusted it. This year I'm like, I will take 50 to 70% of what you're giving me here and actually probably use it. So
yeah, here, I can show you something really quick. I'll share my screen.
Yeah, you can share a screen. If you guys are listening on Audible or on any audio version, check out YouTube. You can be able to see the next screen here.
All right. So here, take a look at, this is just one of like many, but look at how nicely designed this, marketing guide is. It did a competitive analysis of different competitors, online presence, SEO, social media presence.
What version of ChatGPT are you on? You're on the pro version?
This one is not ChatGPT.
I can't even see it. But
this one's another one called GenSpark.
Got it.
So, that would have cost over 10 grand probably if I would have paid a consultant to put that together for me. And now it's an asset for me. I've got that prompt. I can update that. If I wanted to, literally every day, but right now, every month that's getting updated.
Here's a good question for you, because it is sometimes about the ability to realize that you could use AI for this. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, no one's like telling us, hey, for the last 4 years, I've been doing this. It's like we're discovering it every year, like the use case, every 6 months, even like more use cases. How do you even come to a point where you can realize like, I don't need more people or a consultant for this. I just need to use AI in this way. How do you figure that out?
Well, I think that there's kind of 2 lenses. Like, one, you could always just ask yourself, like, what am I doing that is lame and frustrating? And if I could wave a magic wand and never had to do it again. So that's kind of one lens to look through it. And, that's, if you solve that, that would probably add tremendous value to your personal and professional life. And then imagine that wand isn't just waved for you, but your whole team. And now everyone in your company has decreased the amount of crap that they don't love doing, that they're not great at. The other lens, though, is what am I not doing that, if I could just automatically have, would be awesome to have. That's a little bit harder because, if you're not doing it, it means you're not walking around thinking about it. So I think sitting down and just putting together like a wish list, what would you love, if it were free and you could wave a magic wand. And now the magic wand's not to remove, but it's to add. But the adding took 0 of your time and, was minimal cost compared to, what you might think. So if you put cost aside and waved this magic wand and could have any information that you wanted, any reports, what would it be? That's probably a good exercise just to think about.
I also find we're skipping one step. I find just people need to use it. I find it, I just by the use of it, I'm learning more about it. And I'll like wake up in the morning and be like, wait a minute, I could try this. We could upload that. If we uploaded that, I could probably find this.
You could also ask ChatGPT, like, hey, I run this type of company. Yeah. You know, what would be some ideas of things that, you know, I might want to have that I don't even know I should have.
Based on Nick Sonnenberg's book, Come Up for Air, and the podcasts he does, please give me some reasonable ways to decrease the time and increase capacity on my team by using you.
Yeah, that's great. Right. And then, you know, what might be some like AI agents or automations that I don't even realize I should have that would be helpful. And then just see what it replies with.
I've got one more question. I don't know if you have the answer for this, but one thing we've been looking at is just the switch from Google over to AI as a search engine and being pulled up as a result for others. Is there any expertise you have on this or thoughts you have on the shift? Or
instead of like search engine optimization, like prompt engine optimization?
Yeah,
kind of?
Yeah.
I'm not an expert at that stuff, but you know, I do know that there's like strategies in there where you just start like injecting into these LLMs like a whole bunch of information. That's not my area of expertise though.
Yeah, fair enough. I've been playing with it. I've been giving it my ideal client and what we kind of are all about as an organization, and then giving it different examples of what people might be searching for to find us, and then allowing it to present us online. So anyway.
Have you gotten any business from that yet?
We have actually. Funny enough, just the other day we got a lead from it, so it was good.
They said that they found out about you through ChatGPT recommending you.
You got it.
Yeah, I think that that's going to be a huge part of the future. And then, you know, it's easy enough to create custom GPTs. So, like I have one. If you go to bot.nicksonnenberg.com, I've built a custom efficiency bot based off of my book and other bodies of work in efficiency. So, you know, now I can promote this bot, and it's not pulling from the general knowledge graph of the LLM. It's pulling from my knowledge graph, you know, onto, you know, my specific knowledge. So now I have this asset, back to assets, and it's a marketing tool. And then I can control whatever I want it to output. So at the end, depending on what you ask, I could say, hey, sounds like you might benefit from, you know, a free consultation with Jessica on my team. Here's a link if you want to do that. So now I can just start promoting going to my specific bot. And in certain cases, it might give you the URL to book a call. So it's not exactly what you're talking about, but it's related. Like, could your business have a custom GPT that you use for, you know, marketing purposes?
And it's giving your customer like a consultative approach to their issue, and then it's helping understand what the issue is, and then giving them potentially you as the recommendation or something within
and it's totally free, and you don't have to book a call. You could just use it, you know, as many times as you want.
This list is going to grow every 3 days. As people discover this, I'm watching as I go online. There's so many things you can do. For your time, because you had mentioned we have half an hour. We have 2 more minutes. Is there any like final just thoughts? How can people get in touch with you? We didn't even talk about your book, Come Up for Air, but tell us a bit about you so everyone knows, and ultimately how people want to reach out to you and know more, how they do.
So I wrote a book called Come Up for Air. It did pretty well. It was a Wall Street Journal bestselling book, and it's all about my framework for how teams and organizations can leverage systems and tools in the right way. Because if you think about it, when you've hired people or when you've been hired, there's no training whatsoever in terms of, you know, when and how to use all these different tools. So it's really a foundational book. It's productivity, but for teams, and it aligns your team with, you know, how to basically collaborate with each other. And so it's really foundational, and it came out before all this AI stuff. It came out in 2023, but it's just as relevant. In fact, I feel it's more relevant now than before, because it's so important to have these foundations in place, because the AI is just going to be limited to people's understanding of when and how to use it and the knowledge that it's fed in. So if you have, you know, data all over the place and it's fragmented and not well organized, you're gonna be limited to how much value you're gonna be able to get long term out of these tools. But if you do start kind of keeping things organized and having the right kind of foundation in place, it can, and then you layer AI on top of that foundation. It really is like rocket fuel on top of everything. So Come Up for Air is the book, the website for the book, because there's a bunch of bonus materials. The bot was one of the bonus materials, but it's comeupforair.com. Other ways you can find out about me, I have a podcast, theoptimizepodcast.com. You can find me on LinkedIn. My name's Nick Sonnenberg. And my company's getleverage.com. So those are all the places to find me.
Sounds good.
Pretty easy to be found.
And Nick, it sounds like your big recommendation for today, everyone listening, is like, get your data and organize it and make sure it's indexable so that AI can utilize it to do many things that grow over time.
Yeah. I mean, that's a long-term kind of strategy. I'm always thinking about ROT, return on time. Mm-hmm. So what's the first thing you could do right now that in the shortest period of time, you generate the most time back? Usually that's the inbox zero stuff that we teach. But also just getting familiar with AI and prompt engineering. If you go with that, that's another huge ROT.
Love it, man. Thanks for your time. I'll let you get back to it. And
thanks for having me.
Have a good week. Okay, see you, Nick. Thanks so much for watching. If you thought today's episode was awesome, it probably means you should subscribe. You're going to get more Contractor Revolution episodes in your feed, and I'll see you next week.
Paint Ed podcasts are produced by the Painting Contractors Association and are made possible by members and industry partners. To find out more about the upcoming educational opportunities or for more information about joining the PCA, visit pcapainted.org.